Can you comment on some of the positives you got out of this semester during pandemic?
I think a big positive was that teachers were more understanding this year. So like it was easier to get like your grades up and stuff. And like I loved going in person so I could like see my friends and stuff.
All right, so I know 2020 is definitely not the most celebrated year we've had, but I gotta know, for someone like you, what are some highlights of your 2020 senior year so far?
Not too many so far. The lacrosse season hasn't started yet, but we've been in the weight room a lot. No COVID issues yet.
Yeah. Speaking of COVID, actually, I'm gonna have to interrupt. But how has COVID impacted everything? Like, for example, do you like the remote learning Wednesdays?
Yes. I think the remote learning Wednesdays are actually great because we can utilize that time. Maybe set up a Zoom call with our team.
Well, thank you for your time and good luck in lacrosse season.
What are some positive effects the pandemic has had on you this semester?
I had a full cheer season and basketball season starting up, and the cheerleaders and the teammates are taking extra precautions to keep the season going.
Yeah, so quarantine's been pretty good. I mean, it definitely was pretty boring because I wasn't able to see my friends a lot, but I picked up some new hobbies. Like I started working on myself a lot. I started working out, getting stronger. Yeah, it was pretty good. I got closer to my family and my brother who's home from college. Yeah, that's it. I think quarantine's kind of made me a little bit lazier. Just not being in person for school. Just I feel like it's made me lazier, I guess. But at the same time, having to do stuff like on your own pace is also good. I liked it. But yeah, that's what I think.
My name's Andrew Barnett, and I'm here with
Thomas Sheedy, a freshman in high school.
I'm here today asking people the positives of going to school, even though there is a pandemic going around.
I think it's just because I'm a visual learner and I like knowing the details of certain assignments, so I can like ask the teacher certain questions, and just like normal stuff. I mean, clubs and activities probably wouldn't be a thing if you couldn't go to school. And I think just overall being at school is just a good thing, and not having to stay at home and do a bunch of online stuff.
Can you talk about the positives of going to school first semester?
Being able to be with my friends after not seeing them for such a long time was really just a good thing that I haven't been able to do in a while, and I feel like learning in person is a lot easier than learning remote as well.
Go.
My name is Sergio Pratt. I'm a student here. I'm a sophomore at Mason High School.
All right. What are some positives about going to school during a pandemic?
The positives is I get to see all my friends, even though we have to wear masks. It's mandatory. It's still a lot of fun seeing all my friends and teachers, and it gives me a better learning experience.
All right, and how is the baseball team finding a way to continue during this pandemic?
Well, we just had hitting, and of course we all have to wear masks when we're within 6 feet. And also when we're lifting, we have to wear masks, so that makes it so that we can still lift and do all the stuff that we need to and stay safe during the pandemic.
Okay, thank you, Serge.
So even though we're dealing with COVID and all of the challenges, I think some of the really positive things from this school year, at least from my perspective, being as a teacher and with Hope Squad, it's just great to be in person. Being able to connect with people is such a big part of well-being and how people enjoy themselves. And the other, big positive for me, being, the owner and host of Hibbs, has been him in the building. It brightens everybody's day to see him, and he brings a lot of smiles to people's faces. So that's been probably the two biggest highlights for me, is just being in person and having Hibbs around. It's been awesome.
Comment on some positives from this semester with COVID-19.
So one positive from this semester is we have Wednesdays off, which allows the teachers to be a lot more available and they can be there for one-on-one time with students, which is super helpful.
A benefit of going to in-person school is that after months of being quarantined, I had to see my friends and be with them again.
So I think this year I've just really tried to give myself a lot of grace and understanding, and given the same thing back to my students, where like we are all doing this new unprecedented kind of school. And so for me, when my perfectionism kicks in and I feel the expectation to be doing so much more, I just have tried to stay positive and like stop, breathe, and just give everybody a big dose of understanding.
What are the positives you've had while teaching during a pandemic so far?
Okay, so I think some of the positives are more student related. I think as students, you guys have done a tremendous job with being flexible and just being able to communicate with your teachers. And from what I've heard from you guys, you've liked the flexibility of, the remote Wednesdays and being able to kind of manage time on your own. That's what I would say is positive during this pandemic.
Talk about some of the positives of completing the first semester at school.
Yeah, so I think given everything that's going on, the biggest positive for me is just having kids in the classroom, seeing kids in the hall, former students, that kind of thing, because that's what creates that community in the classroom, especially as an English teacher. That's what I kind of thrive on. And then I think it gives that sense of normalcy that everyone needed this year. And I'm just happy we've been able to do all that in the classroom.
Some of the positivities of COVID-19 for us are the fact that we now will enjoy more personalized one-on-one time when we are able to see one another. The fact that we're having a hard time connecting, when we do connect with people, I think it's a little bit more genuine and to the point. We've been putting our phones down and picking our hearts up, using gratitude and showing love.
So I'm here with senior Carson Howard. Carson, after a crazy couple months before school started, how thankful were you that you got to have your senior golf season?
Very thankful. A lot of people say it wasn't going to happen, but golf's one of those sports where, it isn't much physical contact, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I think it was really fun, yeah.
So was there anybody that you would like to thank, for allowing your season to go smooth?
The administrators, athletic directors, and for fighting for us, for us to be able to play, and the coaches for always following the safety protocols. So, yeah.
Well, I'm here with Bianca, and she's gonna tell us her positive thoughts about this semester.
So it was very hard at first to adjust with things, but the teachers have been very helpful. And the learning plans that they make are very helpful for people that are in quarantine too.
Yeah, and what about swim?
Swim, I thought would be terrible because you have to be all together and stuff, so, and it's all cramped.
Yeah.
But it works out, and the coaches are really good about social distancing and keeping your mask on, so it's going great.
All right, thanks.
Wait. Okay. I have Caitlin here with me, and she's gonna share some positive things about school through this pandemic.
So I think that even with wearing our mask and everything, that the social distancing and everything has been going so well, and I'm really thankful to be in school and not be online. I like being able to see everyone. So I think that the school's done a really good job being able to keep that under control. And the learning plans that the teachers all make have been really helpful.
And I know you're a swimmer.
Yes.
So what about swim?
So the swim team, I also am very surprised that it happened, and I'm really thankful that it did. And I know that Sullivan has been working hard and trying to keep the season going. So it's been really well and going really well.
That's good. Thank you.
What's your name?
My name is Weston Simmons.
I know your football season just ended. What positive impacts did you have from playing during this pandemic?
Positive impacts that happened during the pandemic was it brought our team closer together and helped us bond together trying to overcome the pandemic. and have a better season and have playoffs and a full regular season. And it really taught us to appreciate the season more and appreciate what we're doing, and really brought us all together. And yeah.
Today I'm here with Victoria. Can you please comment on some of the positives of your first semester year?
Some of the positives this first semester is online school, because it's easier for students that are quarantined or just at home to access materials online because of the resources.
Hi, I'm Corinne, and I'm here with...
I'm Claire, and I'm a freshman, and I'm on the Mason cheer team.
Claire, can you talk about how COVID has had effects on your freshman cheer season?
Well, so we had to wear masks to practices and to our games, and we didn't have as many games as we usually would, but I'm so thankful that we got a cheer season and that I was able to spend time with and meet all of my new friends and be able to cheer on the football team.
Hi, I'm Maddie Ryan with IMI, interviewing freshman soccer player Liza Barrow. Liza, could you please reflect on some of the positive outcomes of playing soccer during a pandemic?
Yeah, so although it was hard to have a season due to COVID and all the rules with the masks, I'm thankful my coaches helped us through it and that I was able to be with my friends and have a season.
So with school year this year, we all know it's less than ideal, but there have been some good things about it. So tell me, what are some of the things that have actually been better this school year?
Well, this year I was actually able to take a double early release on B-days. So
I've got that next semester.
Yeah, I don't get that next semester. It's been really nice this year to get out at like 10 or 11 a.m. So that's crazy. I'm really enjoying staying up late on Tuesdays, and waking up late Wednesdays is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks.
I like to get to actually go back to school and see my friends and be in class instead of doing everything virtually. And it's a lot easier to learn for me in a physical environment, doing things on paper and pencil instead of over a computer.
Coming to school during the pandemic has been a challenge, but it's been really positive. I think us being together has been great, and getting to kind of get back into a routine with school in person has been helpful for me, and I know for a lot of my students as well.
So for marching band this year, we had the opportunity to travel to Lucas Oil Stadium, which is an NFL stadium in Indianapolis for the Colts. And usually our marching band goes there every year for Grand Nats, which is the biggest competition of the season. It's like the final competition. And this year it was unfortunately canceled due to coronavirus, which was really upsetting for a lot of the marchers and our band. But our directors and our the parents that help out and stuff were able to rent out Lucas Oil, and so we were able to go there for a final showcase event because we still prepared a show and all this stuff. And it was so big and fancy, and it was really cool. Like the first time we walked in there, it was like a really nice turf. It was like so big with a bunch of seats. It was really cool.
Maybe just doing group work in classes, working with friends, working with people within your classes. Not to mention that, we're actually at school, which is nice because you get to talk to people, whereas like online, you were kind of like just FaceTiming people, like Zoom meetings with other teachers. Like you're actually at school, that's nice. That's something I really enjoy, just actually just being at school rather than being at home.
Comment on some positives of the first semester.
I'm able to see my friends in person and play sports.
This year I've tried to make class interesting. It's tough for students in our current state of affairs with COVID, some kids being quarantined and out. I try to alleviate the pressure on students in terms of makeup work and being in class. I want things to hopefully be stress-free and fun and enjoyable in the classroom.
Well, with the classes being 90 minutes, what I've tried to do is break the class up into 3 30-minute segments where I try to provide some direct instruction, give the kids a chance to work on something independently or on their own, and then try to use some type of media in order to kind of differentiate the instruction. The main thing is just to try to stay positive and to continue trying to build relationships with kids so that they feel that they're a part of the class.
I'm really excited that I still got to have my golf season because I was very lucky. I consider myself very lucky because not everyone, got to do what they still love to do. So I was very lucky in that, and I always, a lot of people take stuff for granted, and I was just trying to be really grateful for, all the opportunities that I still got to have and new opportunities that arose because of COVID, with like Zoom calls with people that, I wouldn't have been able to meet in person. So I just thought it was really cool that I was able to do a lot of the stuff that I could do before COVID, but in a slightly different way.
I feel like one of the most positive things is obviously to get to see my students and get to know them, because teaching remotely, we don't get to make that personal connection. But also just for me, since I teach science, it actually makes it easier for me to do lab experiences with my students. So I feel like they get more out of learning every day.
How has going back to school affected your social life compared to last year?
Last year when we got shut down, I had to adjust, like not being able to work with classmates at school and seeing my friends. But this year I'm thankful for the opportunity to do that.
Okay, so what are the positives of going to school this semester during the pandemic?
Some positives going back to school is being able to like work with the teachers rather than online, and being able to have a season for cross country as well.
I try to maintain a positive attitude by like thinking about the positive things, like still being able to come to school and like play sports and stuff.
What are a few things good about COVID and like going to school with COVID?
So I like the staggered release because I get to mess around with my friends. I get 10 minutes to get to my class. It's just really fun.
What about the Wednesdays off? Do you like the Wednesdays off? Does it like help you or anything?
Yeah, because I get to hang out with people Tuesday night and then sleep in on Wednesdays. And just I get to catch up with schoolwork and stuff because I don't really get much classwork on Wednesdays.
How about basketball? Does it ever affect basketball?
Yes, we got quarantined for 2 weeks, so we couldn't practice with the team or anything. And we came back rusty and it took a while for us to get back and like going again.
Are you guys back to normal now and like all good?
Yeah, we are. We have a game today. Hopefully we win.
Good luck.
How has COVID affected you in a positive way?
I've been able to get a lot closer to my family during this time because my siblings would have been in college, so it's been nice to see their face more often.
How has it affected the surroundings that you're in?
I remember for a long time the gas was super cheap, and so that helped with the environment because less people were traveling and using gas and stuff. So,
how has it affected your school?
School life, it's been different because we've all had to wear masks and socially distance, but it's been nice just to see everyone's face.
Do you think that COVID is going to end soon?
I'm hoping that maybe by summer it's ended.
Okay.
What have been some good things about your year?
Being remote, the Comet Connect times have really helped me feel like I'm in person in the classroom with a teacher connection, and my time management skills have increased a lot too.
Yeah, the pandemic's been pretty hard on all of us, but I've had a lot of positives. Like I joined the broadcast team this year, which was really cool, and being able to go to almost every home soccer game, which I thought was really cool because not many people in our grade could do that, and I was very privileged in order to do that. And we were able to kind of expand, and we broadcasted a lot of games from soccer to basketball to football, and that's something we haven't done this year. And I thought that was really cool, and just for me to be able to start my broadcasting career at such a young age, despite like this whole pandemic and restrictions going on, I thought it's just really cool, and I just can't wait for next year.
So first of all, it was nice to have a season in general, because towards the beginning of the season, I didn't think that we would have, a season. I thought we would get shut down in the first game or two. So it was nice to have a season with the seniors so they could finish out their last year, and just to be able to play with all the seniors one last time was pretty good. And I know it sucks that we couldn't have a fan base like a student section, but the parents came out every game and supported us, which was really nice. And then we had a couple games where the football guys and a couple seniors came and watched. So it was nice to have a season and get as far as we did, but I'm glad we could get as far.
Rake his arms down and fight inside. Nice stop. Well done.
Can you talk a little bit about the positives of completing your first semester here at MHS?
Yeah, it's been really fun meeting a lot of new people and making new friends, especially kids in like all different grades, and they've all been super welcoming. And meeting all my teachers has been really fun and forming new bonds with them.
Hi, I'm Abby, and I'm a Mason High School cheerleader.
What are the positive things that COVID did for your cheer season?
We had like a full cheer season, and it helped all the girls get closer, but we had a lot of safety precautions.
Oh, okay. Tell me about the marching band season and some positives that came out of it despite the pandemic.
Okay, so this year was really unique just because obviously we couldn't do a lot of things that we normally did. So, for example, with the brass, every day when we do our warm-ups, we're usually either in a circle or in arcs, just some like circular form so we can easily listen, but we couldn't do that just because of space. So we were in like a grid-based fashion. Woodwinds were doing the same thing, and this change ended up allowing us to do a lot more like unique drills and get better in a lot of different ways, which was something that we aren't usually able to do because either we don't have a space when we go to a competition, or we just don't have the time to set up all these different forms, and just doing the same thing every time made it easier, and we could do different unique things. Also, since there were no competitions this year, it was like a good thing and bad thing. It was good that we were all like, we weren't as stressed, and we weren't as nervous that like we're just doing this for the competition. We're just doing this to for like the audience for the performance. It was more of like we're just here to have fun and be here with our friends and make a good show. And I think like the show that we still made out of all of that and not having the usual things to work for, it shows like a lot about the Mason band and a lot about the people, and we're all there for the people. We're not there for the audience. And just that friend group, that family that we built, just like really came together this year despite everything.
Thank you. So what have been some of the positives that have come out of your first semester COVID experience?
Well, for starters, I'm a part of the Young Women's Club, and we have had like some in-person meetings, but we've mainly had like switched to online. But I liked when I came back and we got to go meet at Pine Hill, and I got to see everyone and like really be like a part of it and do hands-on activities. And I also like coming here and seeing my friends, because I feel like when I'm at home I'm so isolated and I don't really get to like, see anyone and do anything. So at school it's more like, I get to see my friends, and it's really like routine based. Like I have a good routine at school, and like just like, having just a good schedule. So yeah.
A way I stay positive during coronavirus is definitely a lot of self-care, just like online shopping, and I also make earrings for fun and hang out with my family and my friends.
Okay, so Tyler, this year, this semester has been really challenging with the pandemic and all.
For sure.
Tell me some positives about this pandemic and who has really helped you throughout this first semester.
Good question. Positives for sure. I feel like, I wouldn't say classes are any easier, but I feel like the teachers have found a way to go around certain things. Like for this year, I know, just like with math for me, they'll post separate videos of themselves teaching. So if you actually don't get the concept, you can go back, watch the video of them, and then you get the concepts. So that is a positive for sure that's come out of it.
That is really positive. And one more thing, how do you feel about this new schedule and how remote learning days are being treated?
Honestly, I really do like the Wednesdays off. I really do. It gives you time to catch up, finish work. Some teachers give more work than others, which does help for the ones that give you more work, because you can get them done. But then you can also go back, study, do more stuff. Where here we're here till normally 2:30, whereas before or on like being online, you can do whatever. So you can split it up, which is nice because I'm gonna go ski in the morning. But
and one last question for you: what kind of who's really helped you throughout this first semester? Like what teacher?
What teacher? Oh, Mr. Ferrari for sure. He's helped reach out. He does Zoom meetings on Wednesdays just to make sure you're all caught up. He'll get on you if you need any help, but or you're falling behind. But I mean, that's for the best. He makes it fun and it's a good time.
All right, thank you for your time, Tyler.
Heck yeah, man.
Jack, how have you positively been able to get past the challenges of COVID-19 in the first semester?
I feel like academically, I've been able to focus more on like my grades and stuff because I haven't been able to do anything like outside of school, so I've had more time to focus on my grades. And then for sports, also again focusing on getting better because when I am there practicing, there's not like many other distractions since a lot of people aren't like at the bowling alley or in the parks during cross country season.
Perfect, thank you.
Hi, I'm Emma Norris, and some positives of going to school in the pandemic are the fact that teachers are being much more lenient with work and how the online program is so well put up for when kids get quarantined.
Some positives of the first semester have been being able to come into school and see my friends, and then also teachers have been very supportive through these tough times, so when I get confused, I can contact my teachers so they can help me.
Alright, so tell me about some positive experiences they were able to take out of this first semester.
I feel like COVID has given me a new perspective on life and really just learning how to adapt to different situations and challenges that are thrown my way through school and just life in general.
Alright, and tell me about your cross-country season and how you're able to overcome COVID protocols to be able to run this year.
As a team, we followed the protocols pretty strictly. We socially distanced when we weren't in a race and running really in practice at all. And really just doing our best to prevent spreading the COVID or...
I'm really appreciative that we are in school so that the teachers can hold me accountable for the work. Back in March when we went to online, I was really procrastinating. I almost did all my work on the Friday. So I'm glad that I can learn more over the course of the week instead of all in one day.
Hi, this is Charlie Raymond. This is my dad, Chuck Raymond, and I'll be interviewing him for Integrated Media.
Hi, Mason High School.
First question. How has COVID affected your work?
Actually, COVID has affected my work-life balance quite a bit. I do travel 50% of the time, and since COVID kicked in, I've been home 100% of the time, so it's definitely been an adjustment.
Okay. Question 2. How do you feel about the coronavirus vaccine?
I think it's a good thing, and I'm a firm supporter and will definitely get vaccinated as soon as it's offered to me. I get a flu shot every year religiously, so I'm definitely going to get my COVID shot.
All right. Question 3. How has it affected seeing your family and traveling in general?
I guess on the positive, being shut down from business travel, I've spent a lot more time with the family, which is a good thing. However, we've not been able to spend any time, obviously, seeing extended family or going on vacation to visit relatives and whatnot due to the pandemic. So that's not been a good thing.
Well, that's it. Thank you for your time.
Awesome interview there, Charlie.
Despite going through the challenge of COVID, what do you feel are some of the positives this semester?
Some of the positives that happened was we had a football season, which everyone thought was going to get canceled, and track season's coming up. I feel like it's going to be the same thing, and the teachers this semester are being very flexible, and that's what I like this year.
Despite going through the challenge of COVID, what do you feel are some of the positives this semester?
Some of the positives that happened was we had a football season, which everyone thought was going to get canceled, and track season's coming up. I feel like it's going to be the same thing, and the teachers this semester are being very flexible, and that's what I like this year.
All right, so
Will you name off some of the positives of coming to school this first semester and getting around things from this pandemic?
Some of the positive things that I can think of are getting to see your friends. It was a long time before we went back to school. Seeing everybody was a relief, even with the masks on. Looked a lot different, but I think that was definitely a positive. Helps people's mental health, all that stuff. And I think school in general, it's a lot better to get face-to-face interaction with your teachers. I think that makes class run a lot smoother, and ultimately I think it provides for a better student-teacher connection and helps both of them. Other than that, that's all I can really think of.
All right, Nick, thanks for your time.
Anytime, dude.
I got my boy Evan with me today. Evan, give me some of the positives you think of going back to school during a pandemic.
No, I was actually really relieved to come back to school and not have online. So with coming to school, you get to see your friends and just like being around all these people that you haven't seen in so long. Since we got out of school back in like March, it's been a long time since we've had the school environment. I just think everyone's like happier with, even though we're wearing masks, everyone's getting around it. And I think people are starting to get used to them. But even with in class, like teacher contact, like everyone's getting a better learning experience, and it's online. I don't think that would be as good. And I mean, I just think everything's better with like people's mental health, and everyone's happier and just having a better time with things. That's all I got.
Thank you for your time, Evan.
No problem.
As a senior, I do want to say that I'm really grateful for being able to have a cross-country season. Although it was different and there's a lot of other precautions we didn't have to take previously, I am grateful that we got to have meets and improve our times and see each other at practices, but also stay safe.
All right, so Mr. Bly, you are a senior English teacher, so you have a pretty unique perspective on this whole you were even quarantined yourself there for a while, so why don't you just tell us a little bit about the whole like state of the COVID-19 thing in schools and how you think things are going to go going forward.
Well, obviously I think it's been a pretty unique set of circumstances for everybody. I don't know if it's any more unique for a senior English teacher, but obviously it's been very different, and I think for students, for teachers, for parents, trying to navigate, for seniors the last year of their education in such a unique situation has not been easy for anybody. But I think for the most part, my students, I've been impressed with how they've handled it and how they've adjusted. And I did get a chance to understand what they go through when they get quarantined, because that happened to me. So I was out teaching remotely for 2 weeks, and that presented challenges. So I know for students trying to learn remotely, that certainly isn't the easiest thing in the world. But for me, I don't know how long these conditions will be what we're dealing with, but I think it's just like anything else. You have to try to, at least for me, I try to normalize things as best I can. I try not to focus on the things I'm not happy with, or that we have to wear masks, or we have to distance, or it just is what it is right now. And I think navigating that in the most positive way you can is the only way to not go crazy, at least for me. So that's what I try to do every day in class. I try to make it as normal as we can make it.
I'm Hanal Patel interviewing Ria Patel. Ria, can you talk about some positives you've experienced during the pandemic for volleyball and for school?
For volleyball, I'm actually really glad we had a season. We practiced every practice and played every game like it was our last. Our team worked well together and we made every second really good. And for school, I really like the remote Wednesdays. It gives us time, a rest day in the middle of the week. It's improving my grades and makes the week go by so much faster.
Being on the Mason football team this year, how did coronavirus impact the season based off of past seasons?
It created a lot of barriers, that's for sure, and it's just a lot of things that we have to overcome, but, I think we're doing a really good job. Our coaches are making sure that everyone's doing their part and wearing their mask in the weight room and stuff, and yeah.
How did Corona impact the team chemistry and making guys come more together?
In past seasons, we used to be able to hang out more, like we'd have team dinners the day before games and stuff, and this year we weren't able to do that as much because of social distancing reasons. So, it definitely impacts the team chemistry as a whole, but like I said, we're finding ways to overcome that, and I think we're going to be great.
What have been some positives of this semester?
This semester, I'm fortunate to have played football. Even though during COVID we wore masks, we still made it happen. Thanks for Coach Kastner, who's been possible for us, and all the teachers in the school, making it a fun learning experience for us this year during COVID times.
So, from what I've heard, you're a coach for JV girls track, and despite quarantine and COVID, what are some of the more positive things that have been going on this year? What are some of the accomplishments?
Well, I do think the school year has definitely been challenging. We didn't really know what was going to happen with the school year, but what I think some positivity that's come out of it is we are still able to come together. And even though it's not a normal school year, we're still able to come to school every day. The kids are willing to learn. They're willing to adjust, even though we've changed things. I changed things in my classroom. The school has changed things. And we're just all trying to make the best of it. So I love that we all feel like we're in this together. And we're one big happy family here, and we're just going to do what it takes to kind of enjoy the school year to the best of our abilities.
Hi, how are you, and what grade are you in?
My name is Braden Strunk. I am a freshman at Mason High School.
What grade are you?
I'm a freshman.
Oh, okay. So, how has this school year been with all of the COVID insanity and all?
It's been much more controlled than I thought it would be. It's been pretty well. I've been learning. School is doing what it's supposed to do for me.
Do the mandatory masks really bother you or agitate you in any way, or are they just something you get used to?
You get used to it pretty quickly, but the only way that they bother me personally is when I wear a hoodie or something over my head that also covers my neck. It gets pretty hot in those kinds of clothing.
Do you believe that school is better in person like we're doing, or completely online, or the balance that we have right now?
Safety wise, definitely online, but learning process wise, definitely in person, because there's all types of different kinds of learning, like hands-on, there's visual, there's audio, and some of those types of learning, video in RLE can't cover like in person can.
Speaking of the RLE days, do you think the RLE Wednesday is a good thing that we should keep doing?
I think we should keep doing it. Personally, I've always wanted to have another break within the week. It gives me a lot of time to work through my classes and all of my homework that I have to do, and it gives me a good break that I feel like I need. We all need breaks sometimes. Sometimes we don't get enough. Sometimes we don't get enough sleep or whatever.
Do you think RLE benefits just students or both students and teachers?
In ways, I think that it benefits both. More so, I say teachers, kind of like sometimes it can benefit them, sometimes it can't, because they have, I feel like the teachers of this generation haven't been introduced to students yet. So the ones that we have right now are more personalized and specialized in teaching in person. So online probably wouldn't benefit them that well, but it does give them time to work on stuff that they need to work on before their next class.
Is there any other positive notes about this school year you would like to say? Or
It's been controlled really well. That's all I have to say, really.
Okay, well, thank you. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
This is Claire Berry, and she played volleyball during the pandemic. Reflecting over your season, what was the hardest thing that you guys had to do or how to overcome?
Our hardest thing that we had to overcome was that by the end of the season, we had about maybe 3-4 games left. We all had to get quarantined because of COVID.
What precautions did your team make so that you guys were able to play?
Precautions that we made with social distancing, wearing masks, hand sanitizing, and that's about it. We also Lysoled and Windex? No, Lysol. Yeah, Lysol
Yeah. When your season was going on, how did the pandemic affect your season?
Well, mid-season, like at the end of it, like I said, we had to stop, but we did get back and playing our games.
Did the pandemic drastically change anything, or was it pretty much the same besides being quarantined?
It was pretty much the same, besides having to take the extra precautions.
Okay. Would you say this volleyball season was harder than most seasons?
No, I wouldn't say it was harder. I'd say it was about the same.
Okay, and that's it.
What are some positive things about going to school during a pandemic?
Okay, so first of all, I feel like teachers are a lot more understanding of these difficult times we're going through. You know, there's a lot less homework being assigned. Wednesdays we have remote learning. It feels like there's a lot less workload, and yeah.
Thank you. Why did you choose in-person learning over online?
So it is my senior year, and I would like to finish my last year here at Mason with a bang. I feel like I would be robbed of a lot of the fun times if I chose to stay in my room all day, and I would not have nearly as much fun as I am now.
So what have been some positives from going to school in this first semester with COVID?
I see some positives are I gotta have a season this year for cross country, so I gotta have my senior season going. Gotta meet and hang out with all my cool friends that run. For just work through school, a lot of teachers have been more lenient with late work and just turning in homework when you're not on time, which has been very nice. Lowers the stress level a lot of the school.
So in November and December, students haven't had to go to school on Wednesdays and have had remote learning. Can you talk about how that has helped you and other students?
Oh yeah. I love Wednesdays. I get to sleep in till 10 most days, and I hop on for a couple meetings, ask my few questions to my teachers in physics, and I hop off, do some homework, go to Panera, and then I go to bed.
So discuss some of the positives that you had this year while interacting with some of your students throughout the semester.
So even though things are kind of crazy this year, there definitely have been some positives that have happened. One thing that I would say is that I've been able to develop some new technology items. I've been able to create some different ways to get information to my students and at the same time communicate for those students, with those students that are not here. For most of my students, they're Zooming in during class when they're not here, and that gives them the opportunity to have as close of an in-class experience as I possibly can. So that's one positive thing, is I've learned some new things from a technology standpoint that I think that I can use into the future. Another thing that I think is positive, when it comes to just connecting to my students, it can be a little bit difficult. You know, we're all wearing these masks, and sometimes you just really don't know what everybody looks like. But I'm doing everything that I can to try and connect my students' interests with who they are, as opposed to connecting their face with who they are. You know, in the past, I would recognize a face and then I would connect a name to that. But now what I'm having to do and what I'm doing is connecting more of who they are as a person with their name. And so when I think of a student, I'm not just thinking of a face, I'm thinking about who they are. So that's been another positive, even though I'm very much looking forward to the day where I can see my students' faces. So.
I'm Alex Lee, and this is my integrated media final. This is AJ, and I have a question for AJ. It is, how has this semester felt so far, and how has it been different from last year with all the COVID regulations?
This year, I think it's been a lot more stressful because of obviously COVID. It's been really difficult to focus on everything.
Yeah.
And then when we have the one days starting in November where we got home and we could do our work at home, I felt like that was a bit better for our mental health, but it was harder to stay focused on schoolwork because it was just 2 days a week we were at school and we could do like actual work with the teachers, and it really wasn't helpful because it was like 3 days of like break from that school pretty much. So I didn't really like that, but other than that, it's been okay. It's been hard. I'm thankful that we could obviously be in school. So
Yeah.
it's not bad.
What are your thoughts on having to wear a mask at school? Are you used to it now, or does it still feel weird?
At first, it was kind of annoying, but after like the first 2 weeks, I was like, well, it's not that bad anymore. I better get used to it. So I mean, I'm so much more used to it now. And yeah, it's really not that bad anymore.
Yeah, this school year has been very different, but we've been getting used to it. And yeah, see you later.
Hey Caitlin, I know your volleyball season just ended. Could you tell me some positive impacts the coronavirus had on your season?
Yeah, so when my teammates would get quarantined or have COVID, they would have to stay home, and so it really brought us together because we had to step up and play the person's position that was the person that was sick or quarantined. And it also brought us together because we would always put really nice like text messages together and send each other gifts and stuff.
Hi, I'm Kai Woolfolk with IMI, and I'm interviewing Charlie Raymond. Charlie, what was something positive that happened during this first semester of COVID?
Something positive, I would say, is I got to have a football season.
Alright, what was a positive outcome of your football season, even though there was a pandemic going around?
It made our football team stronger and made us come together.
What was a positive effect on your social life during this COVID?
During school, I could see my friends. Even though we had masks on, it was still really fun because seeing your friends every day.
All right. I think probably I'm generally a person who likes to be, happy, and when I do come to school every day, I like to teach the subject that I'm teaching, and I think it's important. And I don't know that I've done anything specific to make myself any different during the pandemic. I just come every day trying to, have a happy disposition and teach what I love to teach, and being around the kids makes me happy, and that's all I really do. It's not anything earth-shattering, and it's not anything that I haven't done for the 32 years that I've been teaching.
The positives of coming to a school during the pandemic is that I'm able to spend time with friends, like even at lunch, just being able to see them face to face after months of quarantine is nice. And it's also positive knowing that the school is taking proper precautions and that we're safe while we're here.
This is Cece. So, what are some of the good things that have happened since the pandemic started for you, in sports?
I've been able to go back to them, and I've been able to be practicing on a daily basis. And I know a lot of people haven't been able to do that, so that's good.
How has it felt to be able to see your friends?
It's really nice because I don't see them any other time.
Hey, Dan Broderick here. Some of the positives from the pandemic that I can bring out. One is on behalf of my students. I tend to be a pretty animated teacher, and so it means when I get pretty hyped up, I start spitting a lot when I'm speaking. And so rather than having to pass out ponchos to my front row students, now with this mask, it keeps all of the moisture in and keeps it from raining down on my students, which obviously would be bad for COVID conditions this year. So that's one of the pluses that's come out of the mask wearing and the COVID experience. But another experience, positive experience, would be for my family. It's created a lot more fun time. We had a game night occasionally, things like that. Have had to be a little bit more creative. My wife and I just had a date the other night where we got Condado to go, and we'd had a little picnic in our own car to just kind of hang out. Now, granted, I did drop taco grease on my sweatshirt. I was a little bummed about that, but I probably would have done that in a restaurant anyway. So those are just a couple of the positives that have come out of this whole thing. So there it is.
Why have you chose to go to school in person instead of doing online?
I chose to go to school in person so I can see my friends and my teachers in person and not have to go through the computer and Zoom.
What have been some positives about going to school during a pandemic?
Some positives about going to school during the pandemic are I can see my friends, talk to them in person instead of online. I can see my teachers, and I won't get behind in my classes.
Thank you, Joey King.
All right, I'm here with my sister, Ellie Rogan, a MHS student, a sophomore at MHS. Ellie, can you tell me some positives of going to school in person at Mason High School?
Well, good thing is I get to see my friends that I haven't been able to see with the virus, and I find it like a lot easier to like learn in a classroom with an actual teacher, because like I don't learn well online at all, and I think it's just good to like get out of the house, you know?
What's been your favorite class this year going to school compared to like online?
I definitely like my science classes. Like I like to do chemistry and biomed because I can do hands-on labs, because it's really hard to like do a lab through a video because it doesn't make sense and you don't get that like hands-on experience.
Gotcha. Thank you, Ellie, for telling us how the school year went, and we'll see you later.
I know it's been an unusual year, but despite that, I'm so grateful for all of the coaches and parents and teachers even who have helped us to have cross-country season. I thought that I wasn't even going to be able to run in any meets because of COVID, but there was a way to make that happen, so I'm so grateful. And also I'm grateful for the school experience because I know that it would be a lot harder to learn virtually. So I'm just really grateful that we can learn in person even though we have masks. It's just a great way to make it work.
This semester I really enjoyed being at school with my students. Some of the things that I've been glad to be at school for is just seeing the social interaction of the kids. It's been amazing having a smaller class size so that I can get to know my students better. I think that they really depend on each other in group activities. They can hear a discussion and get involved in a discussion and hear other students' opinions versus if they're at home, remote learning, they get a limited number of viewpoints. I think it's good and healthy for the kids to see that they can stay safe wearing their masks, and we've all made changes and adaptations to make it work.
I like to do math at school, and I like to see my teacher and make new friends.
Being in school during a pandemic has helped me become a little bit more grateful for being able to play sports.
What are positive effects you've had this semester during a pandemic?
I'm glad I got to play all my sports so far and gone through all of the sport seasons, and I'm glad that I've got to come to school and see all my friends every day. And I'm glad that we haven't gone online yet.
What are positives that you've had this semester during a pandemic?
Some positives I've had is in school, like missing work and stuff, we get more time to do like some of our assignments, and it's more like freedom. And if you miss a day from like being absent or something, everything's online and like able to do from home.
I think the first thing is just the social interaction. In a time when people feel isolated because of this pandemic, being able to come together in the most normal way possible, given the abstract and crazy times that we're in, it is something that really brings people together. And I've seen students, I've seen staff members take this difficult situation, and I think this is what's most important, and make the best of it and think of creative new ways to make connections, whether that is FaceTiming or Zooming classmates into class, just going above and beyond to make a difficult situation less difficult and bring people together during a pandemic when there's so much fear, and just really making the best out of the situation and the cards that we've been dealt.
You know, I watched The Office a couple times, watched Grey's Anatomy, just kind of hang out at home, don't really do much, hang out with my friends. Try and stay away from everybody, I guess. Not too much, to be honest with you.
So you're an Irish dancer. How has COVID affected that so far?
Well, when our studio got shut down, we had to switch to Zoom classes,
and it was really weird because like the like studio that I have in my basement, it's really small, so it was I don't know, it was just weird. And then with competitions and stuff, like I didn't even think we were gonna be able to have competitions, and especially regionals, because a lot of other regions, they didn't even have theirs. But so like with competitions, you basically have like a time frame, and you're only allowed to be there in the time frame. It's not like the competition's open at 8, you can come at 8. It's like, no, you're dancing from this time to this time, and you can only have like one other person with you, which I think is nice because it's like easier to find places to put your stuff, and you don't have to like fight people for a spot. And also the stages are really nice because it's like separated, so you don't have to worry about running into people.
What are the positive effects of going to school during a pandemic?
I like the staggered release because I just have like more time to get to classes, and it's not as stressful, and the hallways aren't as crowded. And I also really like the remote day because like I can just do all my work the night before and then have the day off on Wednesday, so it's like a break during the middle of the week, which I think is nice. And I also like the new schedule that we have now with the A and B days a lot more than the other schedules we've had. So
The positive effects of going to school during a pandemic.
I feel like it's easier to get help from teachers, and just the school is just more open to helping students. And another thing is I just feel like it's a slower pace, and I can understand things easier this year, and it's just, yeah.
Is your name?
My name is Aiden Piscani.
What do you think are positives about going to school during the pandemic?
Some things I think that are positive about going to school during the pandemic is you get to see your friends, even though you might not be able to see them out of the pandemic.
What are your thoughts on quarantining and online school?
My thoughts on quarantining and online school are I do not like it because it makes me stress about my schoolwork and how much I have to do, and it's very hard to figure out what you have to do and when it's due.
Do you think there are any positives to being quarantining and doing online
You get
school?
to stay home and you don't gotta be at school, and it doesn't take as long.
Has COVID impacted you in any type of way?
Personally, I'm not gotten COVID, but COVID has impacted many of the sports I play and the stuff that we do, because some of our out-of-town tournaments are getting canceled, and places we go, we're not allowed to anymore.
What are your opinions on the restrictions being made because of the pandemic?
My opinions are it's good and not good. I think it's good because it's slowing down COVID at a certain rate, which is good. And then I also think it's not good because it's restricting people on what they can do during the pandemic.
How do you think that COVID has changed society in a good way?
I think that COVID will make people stronger and tougher, and it will. It's a big, hard time, and so people will overcome it and become stronger than they were before.
How do you think society has changed because of the pandemic?
Because of the pandemic, I think society has changed because people are stressing about the pandemic a lot, and some people are being very cautious, and that's changing their ways of their life.
All right, so how do you feel about the whole mask situation with COVID going on in school?
I feel like it's they bother me, and they're like annoying at times, but it is important to keep everyone safe, and I get why we have to all wear masks.
Yeah, I agree. I think it can be annoying at times, but it is for everyone's safety, so you just kind of have to deal with it. Yeah. How has COVID impacted you in school, considering quarantine and online school?
It's impacted me a little because I played soccer and I voluntarily quarantined myself, so it was kind of difficult maintaining or like keeping up with my classes and my homework due to just being like out of the classroom and having to zoom in every day. It's just not the same as actually being there.
Right. So do you think it's harder for you to learn?
Yeah,
when you're doing
definitely
online?
harder online to learn because just you don't have teachers and classmates there to help you out when you get stuck.
Right.
And it's harder to focus because there's more distractions at the house.
Yeah. And then last question, how do you feel about not having school on Wednesdays?
I like it because it breaks up the week, and it for your mental health, it really helps because it just relieves a lot of stress during the week.
Right.
It really breaks it up.
I think it's way more chill because like after Tuesday it just kind of gives you like a little break in the middle of the week, and it's another day for you to study and like get stuff done, and it's like way less stress because like maybe on Wednesdays you have like a test on Thursday, and on Wednesday you have to go to school and you're jam packed with homework. But since we have Wednesdays off, you can get stuff done.
I'm here with my brother Reese Malloy today, and we'll be asking a few questions about the COVID schedule, some negatives, some positives, what he likes about it and what he doesn't. Hey Reese, how do you feel about the COVID schedule, having Wednesdays off, and just enlighten us about that?
I like having Wednesdays off because I can kind of sleep in and that stuff, but COVID hasn't really affected me too much, school-wise.
How do you feel about the masks and wearing masks during class and out in public and just?
At first it was kind of annoying. I didn't want to have it on, but now I kind of got used to it. It's just like a normal everyday thing.
And how do you feel about, or just what's one positive of just this, out of all the negatives, what's one positive thing you can look at it?
I've got to play a lot more Xbox at home and stuff.
Would you say school's any easier?
It's about the same for me.
Yeah. Alright, well, that's that. Thank you very much. You can proceed to video games.